Spawning here at the bottom left, we got our blue Terran playing for the Dragon Phoenix Gaming Team. It is Cure.
And his opponent, the first Zerg of the night on this stream. First and last, of course. Also from Dragon Phoenix Gaming, it is Dark.
So I guess it's one of the rules if you join Dragon Phoenix Gaming that you gotta change your name with your team name before your username.
Oh man, that reminds me of I think what was it, Red Bull? Maybe it was Monster Energy. It was one of those beverage companies where they were really pushy about advertising with their esports players. Not that Dragon Phoenix Gaming is nearly as pushy, but it just sort of reminded me of that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like cause certain events they don't have like any like logos mod file where they can select the names and the team name is automatically, or the team logo is automatically there. So I guess they just force their players, or they ask their players to add in that DPG, title before their username. I believe back in the day, if I'm not mistaken, I might be remembering this incorrectly, but I think OGS, the old team of OGS also maybe. Possibly, force their players to add in their team name. I might be remembering that incorrectly. If you guys in the live chat can let us know.
You remember that one? Oh, look at that! A Ling went down. Oh, GG Dark. I think that's. Oh, well, okay. Right back at Cure. GG Cure. The Reaper also going down. A little bit cheeky there. I was gonna say the really popular sort of high quality YouTube channel. It's called StarCraft 2 Highlights, SC2HL.
Yep.
They put down that one series of like it was Kings of StarCraft or something like that, and so they were listing a lot of really famous like Bonjois and other Bonjois type players. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but I felt like it would be nice if we had more of those kinds of series, not even necessarily from that specific channel, but just in general, because it would be nice to sort of document the history of StarCraft. It's such a rich franchise, with a lot of esports history behind it. So I feel like it would be nice if it were all documented somewhere for everybody to see.
Yeah, they had basically they highlighted all the, if you guys are not aware or not understanding what TeaDragon is talking about, basically SC2 highlights a YouTube channel. They made a segment where they highlighted all the kind of the big StarCraft 2 players throughout the StarCraft 2 history, ranging from MVP to all the way to Zero as well. So it was a great series, I gotta say. Well done. And I agree. I think if we can maybe highlight some of the legends of StarCraft 2 a little bit more, that would be pretty good. Especially just for nostalgic reasonings, and then also for newer players who kind of learn about the history of StarCraft 2.
Yeah, definitely. Although if it were up to me, it definitely would not focus on the legends. I feel like every single player brings some sort of value. Every single person brings value to StarCraft, and brings value to the world in general. And I feel like the regular average player, like the Snoopies and the TeaDragons of the world, are just as important as the pro players of the world. We are the StarCraft population, and it now that you brought up new players, I feel like it would also make StarCraft a bit more accessible and a bit more welcoming to these new players as well. If we just had sort of a general history, and nothing wrong with looking at Serral, Raynor. I'm gonna sneak in Sue because Sue's my personal favorite, but nothing wrong with focusing on those guys. But also nothing wrong with acknowledging the contributions of more obscure players as well.
Yeah, I can't wait for that TeaDragon highlight video there. Coming soon.
Oh no! It's gonna have to be Snoop Dragon highlight. That's the one that we're waiting for.
All right, 2 Banshees coming in. Going to be able to one-shot these drones here. So going to be able to pick up 4 drones here. Not too shabby. He does get out with the 2 Banshees. Sometimes, a lot of times actually, you know, the Zerg is able to snipe out at least one of the Banshees, which does kind of limit the amount of shots to take down one drone. They will have to like shoot twice, which makes it more difficult.
Right.
But yeah, but look at here. We got ourselves a Spire on the way. What do you think about this?
I like the Spire a lot. It definitely made a sort of resurgence, I would say a couple years ago. Oh, look at that. The rocks sort of changed shape. I don't know if you noticed that, but as soon as the Lings started targeting them, they changed to a different model, I think. But yeah, we see 5 mutas on the way. And really, it's just one of those checks in this matchup against the Terran. Usually, it's the Terran checking the Zerg. It's like, hey, do you have Spore Crawlers? Hey, do you have Queens? Are they on location? You know, are you ready for this? And it's not necessarily about getting a lot of damage done. It's about the threat of getting that damage done. And if the Zerg has Queens on location, you can't really do anything. If the Zerg has, you know, Spores on location, then you can't really do anything. But it's always about that check, right? And so I feel like mutas are a reverse of that, because now it's the Zerg checking the Terran instead. You know, not necessarily the mutas getting a lot of damage done in every single game that they exist in, but more about making sure that the Terran is ready for them.
Looks like for now he does have turrets on each mineral line. Yeah, he does have turrets on each mineral line, so he's prepared for these mutalisks. However, these mutalisks are still a threat. He just got to be careful with his medevacs. Now there is anti-air for the Zerg, and so he's got to be a bit more selective. If he does commit in with these medevacs, he knows that there is a good chance that they will be sniped out in the end. If he, you know. The idea is that you at least kind of do enough damage before the medevacs get sniped down by the mutalisks. But there's always a question of if you can get enough damage done. At the very least, I think here might want to go and actually start clearing out some of these creep tumors.
Yeah, he's been doing a pretty decent job up until this later portion of the game. A bunch of Lings are just going to scream on forward. Baneling's getting pretty decent connections. Dark is going to break that position pretty easily, so Cure's going to be forced all the way back home. Looks like Dark is going to be the one on the offense. He's going to send in a scouting Ling, trying to piece together what exactly he's up against. It doesn't look like he wants to commit, which is, pretty smart. You never want to attack into a Terran in this matchup. Or, well, not never, but it's just not really necessarily a good idea when you're up on bases and you don't have to. Widowmines immediately go down. Lings are going to stream on forward once again, but again, like you said, those mutas serving a key anti-air role. Look at that. An entire medevac full of Marines is going to get taken down pretty quickly, but Dark is just running away with this. He's got so many Lings, so many Banelings, a bunch of mutas. This is getting really difficult for Cure. And it just sort of came out of nowhere. Dark was able to hold in the early game. He was able to get up to 80 workers and just sort of smash the first move out, and here we are.
Yeah, I mean, right now Dark E is expanding like crazy. Look at all the hatcheries he's got, all the expansions he's putting down. Even gonna get these Banshees. Make sure they don't continue harassing his mineral line. I mean, at this point, the Banshee's not really gonna be too much of a threat. But you know what could be a threat is these doors. These doors they do well against Mutalisks, and they also are able to tank a lot of these Baneling shots. But he doesn't have quite as much doors as he would like right now. These Mutalisks can, they're kind of like right now just sniping them down. A lot of Lings on the ground as well, and I think this just might be it.
Yeah, this is an absolutely ridiculous number of lings. GG is going to be called Dark. Takes Cure down.
So yeah, this is one of the more unique maps, I gotta say. I mean, first of all, there is that gold base down in the bottom middle. That is something, of course, a factor in heading into this map. But then, of course, there is that back door the back door base with the mineral patches blocking it, which is very unique. We haven't really seen that in previous ladder maps. Yes, we have seen many ladder maps with the backdoor dirt, or I guess sometimes it could be a natural, but we don't see like mineral patches blocking them usually. So I actually kind of like it, like kind of introducing a new element into the ladder map pool.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I remember back when Golden Wall came out. Oh, that was a legendary map. They came out with those. It was literally a wall of golden minerals.
I know, right?
Separated the top from the bottom half of the map. And so that got into really, really wild games, and oh man, I have very fond memories of that map. But the point is, I love it when map creators find a way to introduce, like, not exactly a new mechanic, but like a new spin on an old mechanic. Like it's a very basic idea. It's like, hey, you mine out the minerals and then you gain access to a base. It's very simple, but I like it. It keeps the map pool pretty fresh without sort of making pros mad or making the player base mad. It's simple enough that like it's easy to grasp, but it's also pretty new, so it's pretty fresh.
Yeah. I think that's a big point there that you just mentioned, that it's one of those changes that doesn't really irritate players. It doesn't get them mad. Like, compare that to the inhibitor zones, the slow zones, as people will call it. That would make me mad. Like, sometimes, like, why is Blizzard implementing this? It's like,
what is the use of this?
I know, it's just so annoying. Like, just take it out completely, please.
Right, yeah, for sure. Now, what do you think of speed zones, though? On the other hand,
yeah, speed zones, like I didn't mind as much, because at least they increase the speed of the game. But when you're forced to be slowed down, it's like, come on, like. As if queens weren't slow enough. Like, we gotta make them extra slow right now.
Oh yeah.
Zones,
Yeah. Yeah, StarCraft is just inherently a very fast-paced game. It doesn't feel good to get punished, in a split second, but it feels worse when you're slowed down. So I definitely agree with you there.
Yeah, I'm still advocating for, because they took out the inhibitor zones and the inhibitor zone and the speed zone thingy in the 1v1 ladder map pool. The acceleration zone. Okay, so that was good, but they still have yet to actually remove the inhibitor zone out of the team maps. Like the 4v4 maps.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain maps that still have the inhibitor zones, which I guess I understand a little bit, but still, I'd rather have Blizzard remove them completely.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but nowadays I spend a lot more time playing team games.
Yeah, I think it's really fun playing with teammates, with
definitely.
friends.
When you tilt, you get to blame them instead of... No, I'm kidding.
Exactly.
Okay, so we see a bit of a repeat of last game. Dark going for the Spire tech once again. On the other hand, Cure opening up with that quick Cloak Banshee tech, so... Oh, but look at this. The Hellions are going to try to... Nope, the Queens are on location, so they're going to block the Hellions from getting too much damage done. Two Banshees are already cloaked, and they're going to head into the main. And like you said, two Banshees can one-shot a drone, which makes, targeting very, very convenient.
Yeah.
There we go. 4 drones already going down. Pretty decent damage.
Oh, these Hellions getting very deep into the base, but does get completely surrounded here. and will be taken care of fairly easily by the Zerg, but not before losing 11 drones.
Wow, that was actually really interesting. I think it looked like the drones were pre-pooled. Was that because they were pre-pooled against the Banshees? I think it was.
Yeah, I think so too.
Oh, so very, very smartly played by Kier. He knew that the drones were going to be off of the mineral line in that exact location, so then he sent in the Hellions. Although I'm not sure if it's, you know, a decent trade at that point. Let me think. 11 drones, and you're sacrificing, what, 6 Hellions?
Something like that.
I think maybe I would take that. I think I would take that.
At the end of the day, the work count is fairly even, which is never a good sign for the Zerg.
Yeah. Oh, even more drones going down. Look at that, a transfuse on that one drone. Very precise clicking from Dark. This one Banshee still alive, still finding damage wherever it can, but not for much longer. Yeah, like you said, being even on this worker count as the Zerg against the Terran is not a good sign at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And looks like Dark is gonna go ahead and actually, you know, it doesn't really try to replace the drones there. Gonna actually commit into more lanes, as I think he's expecting a move out. A lot of upgrades finishing for both players here, so this is going to be a very sensitive timing window for both of these players.
Yeah, for sure. You see that 1-1 just finished for the bio. We also see concussive shells on the way, although I don't think any Marauders are present with... actually, there are a couple. But yeah, this Widowmine composition is going to be pretty key in defending against the Ling Bane, defending against the Mutas, but Dark is going to go ahead and pull the trigger. He does have speed, his 1-1 just finished. Some decent Baneling connections. They're going to chase off of creep, and actually Dark cleans that up pretty decisively. Kier is going to be forced to pick on up and get out of there. So it looks like he will be prepping for another push. He's going to be prepping a little bit more bio, but all in all, that is a good start. Dark was able to defend that pretty concisely, and at the same time, he does have a 4th base up and running.
Yeah, more importantly, he was able to only just lose one Mutalisk during that engagement. He lost 41 links, which is a lot, but losing only one Mutalisk, I think, you know, that is going to be really important for him to continue building up that Mutalisk count to the point where it just becomes a critical mass, and it becomes really difficult for Kier to handle.
Yeah, definitely. Look at that, the Mutas are trying their best to find an angle. This kind of reminds me of the Zerg versus Protoss matchup, where you've got a bunch of Corruptors and you're trying to pick off carriers, for example. Kind of a similar concept with the Mutas. They're trying to see whatever damage they can get done away from the main army. Speaking of which, the main army is going to start pushing back onto creep over by the 3rd base location this time. But it doesn't look like Kier is going to commit just yet to a push. We do see a lot of Ling Bane on location. So Dark, I mean, this is one of his strengths, right? This is something that he's pretty much famous for, is keeping himself alive and in the game even with a worker deficit or, you know, some sort of economic deficit.
Yeah, he's really good at that. I mean, he's just kind of just making sure he kind of pick off the reinforcements so that the main army of Kier doesn't grow too large, and you know, you try to force Kier to think twice before sending out his reinforcements. Now, Dark is able to build up a 49 Baneling count, which is absolutely insane. However, this is a nice pre-spread from Kier. So we'll see how both of these players are able to engage. And here we go. Baneling's rolling in. A lot of Widowmines getting activated.
Oh, okay. So the Baneling connections were like not the best, not the worst. The Marauders, though, over in the front line, just keeping the damage consistent. You know, keeping that foothold just off of the creep. Now, more Banelings need to be morphed in. More Lings need to be produced. Dark is out of resources. He is spending every single mineral, every single Vespene gas unit that he has, the Mutas are going to try once again to pick off whatever reinforcements they can find. And Cure actually very wisely is going to head on home. He decided that he doesn't need to risk it anymore. He's going to regroup over in the middle of the map and then keep on coming forward. Those medevacs are pretty low on energy as well, so I think that moving back is a pretty good call for now.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of basically standing around the dark side of the base, and if you give the Zerg enough time, they can mass up a lot of units. So he's just like, I probably smarter to just stand back for now, build up my Widow Mine count, maybe add in some additional units like Thors or something, get my upgrades as well. By the way, Dark here doing a nice job keeping up with the upgrades, and Stark is lagging a little bit behind in terms of the he's kind of researching off he's researching armor, but he's not researching anything else, while Cure is researching +1 and 1 for his armor and weapons. So gonna pull one upgrade ahead very soon. But yeah, both of these guys are just kind of staying put for now. Dark continuously trying to find some damage with these Mutalisks, and yeah, that Mutalist count is getting crazy scary. 20 right now.
Oh yeah, the Mutas are going to dive on top of the natural. At the same time, this bio army is going to start creeping onto the creep. I did not mean to say it like that, but here we go. We've got the Widow Mines starting to burrow. The Marauders are going to stay in the front lines, and they're going to try to, trigger some of the Banelings. The Banelings do come on forward. Oh, look at that split. Dark at the very last minute is going to, absorb just a few of those losses. Very well played in that split-second decision-making. Finally, he's going to start a hive, but 3-3 just finished for Cure, so he's going to be sitting very comfortably on this upgrade lead for a pretty long time. Dark is definitely a little bit uncomfortable here. He does send out a first sort of initial wave of Ling Bane to try to clean up the front line, and he does also trigger the rest of the Widow Mines over in the back. I believe only a few of them are off of cooldown finally. Marauders are going to start dealing damage over on the front lines once again. And this is, very uncomfortable once again. Now, I do like what Dark is doing. He's going to be sending a huge... Actually, all of the Lings are going to be committed to a run-by, while the Banelings are going to stay in the front lines. So this is going to be... Oh, look! They're going to actually get in! Oh, this is huge.
Oh my goodness. That is a lot of Lings here. And yeah, Kier, he's pulling out all his army back to retreat to clean up the rest of these Lings, but yeah, that's going to be 12 workers going down, some supply depots as well, and there are still some Lings here waiting to pounce once Kier moves back out.
Yeah, this is exactly what you're supposed to do in this matchup as the Zerg. You want the bio to be drawn in as basically as far as possible. It is pretty often that you're going to see, actually, you can see a Zerg sack an entire hatchery just to make sure that the bio is committed on their side of the map. And then, once you've got them right where you want them, you send in a huge Ling run by. You deal a bunch of economic damage, you make sure that the bio is committed, etc., etc. And exactly like I said, this hatchery is going to be sacrificed basically for the Zerg's greater good. But yeah, Ling Bane is going to be... I mean, it's not that it's bad, but it's you definitely need to start supplementing it with, I don't know, maybe Ultras, maybe some Vipers, that kind of third tier unit once you get into the late game. And we are approaching the late game right now.
Yeah, both players are maxed out, nearly 200 versus 200, and looks like we're gonna have an attack here at the down south side base. I'm sure Dark really would like to keep this base safe, because Zerg, you want to stay at least one base ahead of the Terran army, and oh wow, does clean this entire army out, but he does trade a lot of Banelings for Marauders. I mean, that was a very Marauder heavy army. A lot of the Marines are here at the top side, and Dark is caught out completely out of position. That is going to cost him a hatchery, and you know what, TeaDragon, I mean, we're starting to see a hatchery fall here and there, and at a certain point, like Dark cannot afford to just keep losing hatcheries.
Yeah, I mean, he's struggling to, stay maxed out. Finally, the Lingbane is going to clean up that drop, but that was an excellent drop, as you mentioned, Snoopy. Taking down that extra hatchery. Each hatch is 300 minerals, and, it takes time to rebuild. Look at that. Another set of Marines is going to force the cancel on this 4th base location once again. Mutas are going to try to fly around, but they're not going to find any damage just yet. Like you said, these are losses that Dark can't really continue affording. He can maybe afford if he had a bank, if he, were already mining off of the gold base, for example, that kind of thing. But that is not true. I mean, his upgrades are finally going to finish now at the 17-minute mark, but he needs the money. He needs the income to support that sort of maxed out army to take advantage of those upgrades. For now, he's not quite maxed out. He's staying on that sort of tier 1, tier 2 tech. And I would really love to see him get ultras, get some sort of higher tech unit, but I don't think that's gonna
he's just so close.
The banelings.
So close.
Oh my gosh. Oh, wait. Oh, so close.
So close, but yet so far.
Yeah, oh man. That's the one moment that everybody's waiting for.
I know, right? Oh my
man,
god.
Dark is really committing to the mutas. I mean,
yeah.
he's got 6 more on the production tab. He's gunning down all of these missile turrets. I like that move a lot. Oh. But the banelings. Oh no, please. Here, just move a little bit to the west, just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Oh man. Oh man. Yeah, Dark, he's just gonna do classic Dark things. He's gonna sack yet another hatchery, gonna focus on the muta counterattack, but his creep is not looking too good. It's been pushed back consistently, and he is not consistently respreading it, so he's stuck on some bad.
If he can draw if he can draw the army to the mutas, he is trying to he's trying to bait him right there.
He's not trying so hard.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, wait. What? Okay, we got some decent mines, yeah. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. You know what? I feel like Dark is just having the time of his life right now. I'm sure that he's having a really fun time. With all these mutas, just forcing Cure to go back wherever he wants.
Come on.
Oh my god! Dark the madman. Oh, Dark is a bully. That's what Dark is. He doesn't care if he loses 3 hatcheries. He just cares about the banelings.
Yeah.
Oh man.
As fun as these banelings, burrowed banelings are, I mean, Cure's still ahead by a lot of army supply here, 157 to 113, and right now Dark is gonna have to pray to God that these banelings get the magical connections, or else Dark just go for a base trade. He does have a lot of Mutalists. I think maybe it's come to a point where maybe it might be good to go for a base trade. He does have a lot of Mutalists to make a lot of hatcheries, around the map. So maybe that's his play here.
Oh, another Baneling mine went off over on the bridge. But yeah, like you said, I don't think it's going to be enough. I mean, it's just you need more than just mines to get damage done. Oh, but these mutas are getting a lot of damage done. Now, the Widow mines have been pre-burrowed. I do like that move a lot, but it's not going to be enough. The rest of these mutas are going to continue taking down add-ons left and right over in the main. Cure is trying to make something happen with the Marauders. And actually, this is a really smart move, using the mineral wall to his advantage. But at the same time, these mutas have free reign over that planetary base. I mean, it looks like there's basically no anti-air left for Cure over at home. And actually, Dark is maintaining a supply lead. Maybe not an army supply lead, but he's maintaining a general supply lead.
Yeah, even though he doesn't have the army supply lead, if he can keep it close, then the Baneling can be kind of the momentum changer there. If you get some really good connections. So yeah, he's doing a really nice job just closing the gap here. And all of a sudden, yeah, I think Dark is looking to be in a pretty decent position now. Not completely out of it. I mean, there's still a lot of bio units. There's still a lot of Widow Mines. The creep spread also is really receded as well. Dark just desperately trying to remake his hatcheries. That has cost him a lot of minerals, where his 2K mineral bank has disappeared right now because of that. But as long as he holds on to this, I mean, he's really pretty much halted or really completely destroyed the production of Cure with his Mutalisk. His Mutalisk was able to take down a lot of add-ons and, you know, production buildings. So yeah, I think as long as he holds on with this against this push, he should be pretty fine.
Yeah, look at this. Neither player is actually mining gas at the moment. So Dark, really the master of making this into a war of attrition, just sort of grinding down Cure as much as he can.
All right, here we go.
Look at that. Dark is just going to go ahead and evac this base once again. He doesn't really care about creep anymore. He's just like, okay, I'm going to treat my hatcheries like giant creep tumors.
I know, yeah.
It seems to be working so far. He does still have that ridiculous number of mutas.
Yeah, I mean, right now, head-to-head, I don't think Dark can win the straight-up fight. So he's trying to just kind of bypass his army, just like retreating his drones, not really fighting him until maybe he feels confident enough that he has enough. But yeah, that it's going to be tough. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of Banelings compared to the Lings. There's a lot of Marauders in his army, so even if he did have more Baneling... Oh, actually, you know what? He's pro Banelings, though. Oh! Nice scan.
Oh! Very, very good scan. Cure with that sixth sense. Or maybe he saw it in his vision. Okay, here we go. I don't know about this move. Yeah, okay, so the Lings are actually going to back off. They're not going to commit to a fight off of creep, which I believe that they should not. This is such an interesting game, you know? It kind of feels like we're in the stage of the game where both players are mined out, but the problem is they're not mined out. They're just unable to take new bases.
Yeah. I mean, you're doing a really great job just denying base after base. Dark desperately trying to, you know, remake the base. Now it's come to a point where he can't even remake another base. You know, he has to worry about, you know, the remaining minerals that he has. Is it worth making another hatchery? Can he hold onto it, or whether it'll be better to just, you know, save those minerals and, you know, save enough at least just for a base trade scenario.
Right. Like you said, I totally agree with you. I don't think that Dark is going to have enough to beat this huge bio army in a straight up fight. But, you know, besides that, Cure doesn't really have all too much of an advantage. Well, also there is the fact that he's kept Dark off of a mining base for a long time now. But the thing is, the same could be said for him. Yet another huge Ling run-by is going to start taking care of a lot of those SCVs. Those 3 Zerglings have been working on that orbital for a long time. Actually, that orbital is going to go down if Cure doesn't raise it. Yeah, okay, so it does fall. So Cure is actually basically all in at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. He's even trying to drop mules to mine off that mineral blockade.
That's hilarious.
Will make his way into that 1 o'clock base there of the Zerg, which is pretty much his last remaining mining base.
Oh, even pulling the drones? Oh, I don't know about that. Well, actually, it could free up supply. Not that any supply needs to be freed up, but look at that. The supply is now even. Ling run-by actually becomes more than just a Ling run-by. Mutas are going to join in the fight as well. Lings are actually going to back out of there because there is just too much bio up on the high ground. So they will counterattack over at the straightaway 3rd base location, taking down a bunch of SCVs. Drones are trying to long distance mine all the way from the corner base. Snoopy, this game is crazy. I don't even know what's going on anymore. It's like Dark is completely ignoring the bio. He's like, yeah, come on in. Doors right, you know, doors open.
Yeah, and you know, he just Dark just took out the last remaining CC, so there's really not a lot of ways in which Kier can rebuild. I mean, he does have enough for one more one more command center. Oh, never mind. Okay, he just built one. Okay, he just built one at the main base. Okay, there we go. He had one SCV left. If that one SCV was 0, then he would have had no way of rebuilding another CC. So this is gonna probably come into this is really good news for Kier. At least he has the ability to continue on into this game and doesn't have to be forced into a. Oh, is that?
Oh no! Stop!
There's no scan. There's no scan for Kier. He has no orbital left.
And that's basically ground that he has to. Oh my god! Oh, you're kidding me, please. Snoopy, I'm. This is taking like 2 years off of my life. Oh my god!
I know, right?
Okay, so running.
This is
the effect of these banelings, the mines. A new hatch has been taken. That new command center is not going to be allowed to finish. Lings and mutas are streaming on through. Who wins this? I can't tell. I have no clue who's going to win this.
I think Dark might actually have it. Maybe. I mean, just oh my god.
Oh, this is really hard to tell. Yeah, because there is that extractor over in the bottom left corner of the map. Extractors are being taken. Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Cure has not rebuilt his base and is being revealed. This is wild.
Oh my god, there's still those banelings, the burrowed banelings there as well. You'll see them maybe come into play here, but it is now just a matter of killing the remaining buildings. And oh, actually a segment of Kira's army does get segmented, and Dark is going to get on top of it. That is a lot of medevacs there to kill, and all the remaining buildings for Kira is here. Oh my goodness.
No, Cure. What if Cure had just kept his army together? What if he had... Well, I don't know if he even could have, because the mutas are just too maneuverable. The Lings are too maneuverable. But now, look at that. The bio is all spread out. They're trying their best to find the last hatch. The last hatch does finally get taken down. Extractors are being made over at the opposite base natural. Oh my god, this game is wild.
Oh man. Yeah, this is really crucial for Kier to stick his army next to those buildings. That is going to be so important. Important to note that Dark cannot make another hatchery right now. He has not enough minerals. This is pretty much it. And right now he has to rely on these banelings. These burrowed banelings is all that he has.
He's trying so hard to bait the... Oh, no! Okay, one goes off. So Cure, basically that reveals the hand to... Oh! Okay. Oh my god, Snoopy! That was... Okay, alright. StarCraft is cancelled. I'm retiring. Good night. That... Oh my god.
Alright, so instead of seeing a 1-1 tied series heading into game number 2, or sorry, game number 3, we're now into a scenario where Kier has to win the next 3 games in order to win this series. Gonna be a tough task, but not impossible. I mean, Kier is still, after all these years, still one of the more prominent and strong Terrans, especially in the Korean side. And so, yeah, I would not count out Kier, but I gotta say, I mean, Dark is looking... I mean, he has, placed himself in a very, very good position to take this series.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like maybe this is just me, talking out of my butt because, I don't watch StarCraft 24/7. I wish I could, but I don't. But, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that stage of the game is really where both of these players are pretty comfortable in. Like, obviously Dark is well known for being one of the best Zergs in the world. Although the same could be argued for Cure right now, being argued that he is one of the best Terrans in the world. But what I'm trying to say is that both of them are very, very well, well versed in the sort of mid-game to late game of this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, both of these players have a lot of experience in those type of long, drawn-out, base trade scenarios, chaotic moments, and yeah, both of them usually would handle it well, except they're playing against one another. So at that point, it just comes down to the kind of the small details. And in the end, Dark was able to kind of make that base trade scenario work. I mean, his army, like the Bao unit of Cure was also good for base trade. I mean, they have a lot of DPS; they can kill buildings very quickly. But Dark also, he has the mobility. Those Lings can attack really fast as well, especially when you get this around. And so yeah, it was a very close game. If certain things went differently, I think the game could have turned out differently. It could have been a scenario where Kier was able to kill out the remaining buildings of the Zerg. But I feel like he kind of, at certain moments, he kind of just stood there. I think maybe he was concentrated on defending back at home, and his army across the map was just staying there. After killing the hatchery, he just kind of stood there for a couple of seconds. And in those base trade scenario, every second count. You want to go ahead and attack these Zerg buildings as quickly as possible, clean them out. And then also, sometimes in those scenarios, the larva does take up a lot of the gunfire of the Bao army, and so instead of moving on to the next base, you do see sometimes like the Bao army is preoccupied with a single larva for a couple of seconds, and that is just time wasted.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point, and I'm sure that many of our viewers who do play on the ladder regularly are familiar with that kind of pressure, with that kind of situation where you need to make a decision immediately, otherwise the consequences are going to be, felt for basically the rest of the game. It's just so funny to me because, like, usually the saying goes you can never base trade a Terran. And yet Dark is here. It's like you can make a meme of that. It's like, like, no, you can't base trade a Terran, and then we have Dark's face going like, haha, mutas go burr or something like that. Like, it's so funny.
yeah. I mean, it's understandable. I mean, Terrans can have flying buildings, so it makes it much difficult for Protosses and Zerg players to base trade against the Terran.
Right.
It was just unfortunate that Dark went for the Mutalisk build, had the anti-air, and while Mutalisks don't kill buildings quickly, he had enough Mutalisks there. He had a lot of Mutalisks in the end, and so yeah, in the end he was able to pull out the victory. But you know what? Let's get back into this game, as there is a Marine push here, doing a decent amount of damage. Where are the Lings? Where are all the Roaches? All these queens just falling down.
Wow, this was a pretty early sort of stim timing, because of course Kier opted to go for the 3 barracks before Starport opening. This allowed him to get a very, very quick stim timing with a pretty decent chunk of Marines. So actually, they're going to deal a lot of damage, prevent a lot of mining time. Roaches might not be the best response for this either. I mean, they're... Oh, wow, look at that. Just going to go ahead and pick up and drop off into the main base as well, onto the high ground. So Kier hitting a very crisp timing, and Dark just not ready for it at all.
Alright, looks like Dark will finally stabilize as more Roaches pop on out. But good value trade there by Kier. Does set himself up really nicely. And this is a good start. And that's what he really needs right now, is a good start. And
yeah.
Slowly but surely, he can open up the cloud in the sky, and Shine will come through, and he might find himself in a 2-2 series heading into a 5th game. But of course, it's one thing to be ahead, is another thing to close it out. And right now he needs to close it out.
Oh, huge biles! Look at that! Right as Kier was dropping out of the medevacs, the biles landed on all of the biles. Some of the medevacs going down, one of the medevacs standing very, very low on health as well. And see, this is what I'm talking about. It's like, Dark, why do you play like this? You play from behind and you're so damn good at it. Like, how are you this good? This is not how the matchup is regularly played, and he just loves to make it work, you know? He loves to make the roaches work, he loves to make the ravagers work. Now, Kier is the one having to respond to the Zerg opponent rather than the other way around. He's going to be focusing on that tank production as well as Marauders. Very good response to the Roaches and Ravagers. He also put a medevac, a low health medevac, onto the Ravagers as a sort of scouting measure as well. More Biles going down. Is Kier going to be able to hold this? Okay, it looks like he will force back the Ravagers for the time being, but yeah, I don't know. This is getting a little bit dicey now.
Yeah, a lot of action across the map. We did see a attempted drop there at the top side, at the 12 o'clock base. Got shut down real quickly. We did see a kill on the 6 o'clock ish base. There was not a cancel, by the way. So Kier was preoccupied, I think, with the fight. He forgot to cancel. So that's 400 minerals down the drain. And then, of course, there was the main fight, which I'm sure both players were mostly focused on.
Man, I love watching Dark play. He is just so good at staying alive. And a lot of people hate that, but I don't know. I think it's a fun and a sort of refreshing way to see a Zerg play the game. You know, we've seen plenty of maybe Terrans and Protoss play the game by sort of staying alive and not focusing on winning. But the thing is, Dark, in this series, we've already seen how he demonstrates that the two don't have to be separate, right? Staying alive and winning. You can sort of use the same playstyle to try to achieve both ends at the same time. And he's doing that with Roaches and Ravagers.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think maybe his personal go-to song is the Bee Gees' "Staying Alive." You know.
Oh yeah.
Staying alive, staying alive.
Yeah, let's go, Snoopy. Oh, check it out. He's getting pathogen glands too, so he's going to be transitioning. He's going to be adding in that infestor tech. Nice.
Alright, looks like we got a couple of Vipers being added. That is going to be really helpful against what Kier has right now. I mean, you can abduct the tanks to snipe them out, or you can maybe throw some blinding clouds. Either way, these Vipers should prove useful during this upcoming huge engagements that will inevitably happen. Maybe even sooner than we think here. It looks like Kier is making his way into that base, and man, the distance are so close.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. The Biles are actually going to take down a couple of medevacs right from the get-go. I really like how Kier was setting up his tank line. He just had so many tanks, so he was setting up such a deep tank line, so far away from the creeping. You can tell that. And this is something that I learned very recently as I was playing Terran. Oh, look at that. Biles are going to take down the first tank. Something that I learned pretty recently is that I tend to be very aggressive with my Terran pushes with Bile. But the thing is, I go way too fast for my own good when it comes to tanks. And you can see how slow the push is from Kier. He's just leapfrogging the tanks forward one by one. Now imagine if you were playing with Widow Mines, it would be a completely different game. He'd be much more aggressive about clearing creep, killing the tumors and killing the lings and banes and whatnot. But you can see here he's very methodical with how he approaches this sort of tank line, how he wants to use it to shell away at the Roaches and Ravagers and lings and banes and the queens and everything else.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the saying goes, patience is a virtue. And he has demonstrated that patience can really help in scenarios where you're doing the slow push. And like you said, very methodical, very Terran 101. But here we go. Looks like blinding clouds on those tanks. He is going to go ahead and get on top of them. Corrosive Bile got a get their battles off. Actually, not even shooting corrupted battles. Just gonna fight them straight on here.
Wow. A pretty decent cleanup, but of course that's because some of the bio was committed to killing that 4th base, so very well played by Cure, actually. Look at that, so Dark is actually down to 2.5 bases already. Like, basically out of nowhere, he's down to 2 bases, 2 mining bases, and 1 base that he's trying to retake right now, so this is pretty dire for Dark. Now, of course, he does have a pretty high army supply, but it's a little bit inflated due to the Roaches and Ravagers. He does have 4 Ultras on the way, so it's not like his supply is going down, but it's just that he's basically off of, you know, significant mining for a while. Kind of like in the previous game.
Yeah. Once again, Dark found himself behind. And will he kind of turn it up like he did in the previous games, or will Cure finally break Dark and get his first point on the scoreboard? Cure, I gotta say, I mean, he's right now 3-3 against the 2-1 of Dark. That's going to bode really well for him. The Ultralist might be an X factor, but with the amount of micro potential that Cure has in terms of kiting the Ultralist, I think he should be able to deal with the Ultralist fine, especially with the creep spread. It's just not as good as what Dark would like it right now, and so it makes the kiting much easier for Cure. But here we go. Dark trying to get this around here, just not quite. And oh, actually some reinforcements get caught off, unfortunately for them.
Oh, but at the same time in the main, a huge drop is going to start taking care of not just drones, but a lot of the tech as well. The Hive is going to get targeted down to spawning pool. Sorry, I've been spending way too much time on the build order website. Okay, GG is going to be called. Cure takes back, well, not the series, but he's going to tie up the series, taking game number 2.
So back in the Africa TV Champions Cup, we did see a lot of roach rushes coming from Dark, and surprisingly he hasn't really gone for that in this series, and I'm wondering if that is something that he may have under his sleeve to kind of pull out. I'm not sure if it's gonna happen this game around, because it seems like there's not an early pull. But it's definitely a possibility for the if it does go to our 5th game, that is a possibility that Dark can pull out that build order and kind of YOLO it a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. You know, something that I've been seeing very commonly on the ladder, and I don't know why, because like as an amateur Terran, I find myself defending and moving on from this really, really easily, but I always see Zergs play like this really early Roach Warren. Like, it's a hatch first, okay? So they get the 3 hatches just like Dark is doing right now, and then, you know, they get the Roach Warren really early, and you scout it with the Reaper, and then they send 3 Ravagers and some Lings across the map, and they try to kill your... They try to, you know, force a cancel on your natural, and or they try to bust your wall or whatever. And I don't really know why that happens. I feel like, you know, I'd like to see Dark do something like that. That way we can see how it's really done, because so far on the ladder, I've been a little bit disappointed by what Zergs are doing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, you know, there's not a lot of options for the Zergs to do early game damage. They will either have to do a really early pull and just go all in or something like that, but rarely does that work out, because, you know, the Terran will send an SCB or send a scout or Reaper scout or something like that. So yeah, the number of options for early game busts against a Terran for Zerg is limited, and one of the options though is that early Roach, you know, timing there.
Yeah.
And of course, it all relies on the Terran not scouting. And you know, in general, a lot of Terrans don't scout.
Right.
They will either send a SCV to make the these command center in the low ground, and then they try to rely on the Reaper to scout. However, you know, with the early game, with the early pool, the lings and the early lings going across the map, then it usually pulls the Reaper back home, and then it leaves the roaches to be undetected.
Yeah. Well, look at this. We've got early +1. These lings are going to get into the natural and start doing some damage. So like you said about the scouting, you know, Cure, as he should have, mostly relying on the Hellions for scouting, but not expecting this sheer number of lings to be across the map. Dark looking to get a little bit cheeky here in this game. So as you mentioned earlier, it's not exactly the same thing as a Roach Warren, but it is sort of part of that early game aggression that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and the thing is, it hasn't done enough damage. When you invest this much into early game lings, you got to do a significant amount of damage. It doesn't help that Kier is still ahead in terms of the worker count. He was supply blocked for a momentarily, so you know that was good for a Dark, but he still needs to do more damage than this, and he might possibly, considering that the wall there is still open. The lings can theoretically go in there. I think he's just waiting for the Banshee to move out, so that he doesn't have to deal with the Banshees. By the way, thank you for some raise and subscription. Shout out to Blue Hair Critic and Some Drunk Canadian. Really appreciate your support. And without your supports, you know, we wouldn't be able to put on events such as these. So much love, guys. It looks like we have the two Banshees starting to do some damage. Now the lings not actually gonna go across the map. They're kind of sitting lazy there, which is a little bit of a missed opportunity. But I guess he's still preoccupied with dealing with the Banshees.
Yeah, throughout this series, Cure has been making pretty good use of his Banshees. Oh, but it looks like one Banshee's gonna go down. Oh, and the Queen. Okay, so the Queen is gonna go down. Man, Banshee's able to find that angle just out of reach of the Spore. Not out of vision, but definitely out of reach. It looks like this Banshee is going to continue to be a nuisance, working on that 4th base hatchery.
Alright, so I gotta say, I feel like if Dark is not going to go ahead and put on some pressure with these lings, I think he should have spent the time to start killing these rocks. This is one of my pet peeves. Because, like, you know, here is a bunch of lings. They don't really have any opportunity to break through the natural of Kier. So they just kind of sit around there and they don't do anything. And I'm like, you could send them to kill all the rocks so that you don't have to worry about them later on. You know, open up the surface area. You know, deny the opportunity for the tanks to get in such a pocket position with the, you know, being protected by the rocks.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Oh, that wouldn't mind. Decent hit. Six lanes. Not the best. Yeah, that's a good point. So that's one thing that I always try to fight the urge to do, as you know, while I'm off racing on Terran or Protoss. It's like, oh, I really want to kill those rocks, and then I have to think, wait, would that help me or my Zerg opponent? Alright, so we're getting into the mid-game phase where, you know, Cure is going to do his best to do a couple of drops at the same time, all the while macroing up and saving up for that big push that's going to come across the map. Wow, excellent splits. Lings are not going to take too much damage.
Yeah, so far, good defense there by Dark. Not just the splitting, but allocating enough units to either sides, to the left and to the right, making sure he doesn't get overwhelmed on either side. Although, you know, even if he doesn't get overwhelmed, lings are so fast that they can reinforce quickly. So, and the bases aren't too spread out.
You know, I have to say, for how this game started out, most Terran players would probably crumble under all that pressure from all the lings that Dark has, because what Dark did was basically take back the tempo of this matchup and put it back in his favor as the Zerg player. All because he opened up with that sheer, you know, that high number of lings earlier in the game. But Kira has been doing decently. Like, he is losing stuff on the map, but he's not inactive, you know, he's not just sitting back, he's trying his best to stay active on the map, he's doing these drops and whatnot. So really props to Kira for you know, doing his best and staying active in this game.
Yeah, I mean, the idea I think is that he wants to just, you know, have a couple engagements here and there, and then, you know, add to his advantage by winning some of these battles, so that, you know, if you kind of add up all the small battles, that it could, you know, potentially lead him to win and have the advantage during the big battle. And will he get this hatchery? He does. Nice pick off.
Wow, look at that. Immediately picks up, and he's just gonna drop right into the main base. Now there are sport brawlers. Okay, so that will actually deter this main Doom drop. Okay, and Dark is actually going to commit to the Lurker tech. I love Lurker Lean Bane. I feel like it's one of the most fun compositions. Just like glass cannon, high DPS. You don't know what's going to happen. You know, spiky banelings.
Spiky banelings. Oh my god, that is so true. Yeah, Lurkers are basically spiky banelings.
Yeah.
I never thought of them
play
like
aggressive
that.
enough with them, then they're definitely disposable like banelings.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's because there was this one GSL match with, I think it was Armani versus Maru or something. Yeah, it was Armani versus Maru. And Tastosis were like, oh, look at Armani's spiky banelings. And since then, I've just been using that.
I see. Yeah, that's a nice description.
Oh, interesting. I just noticed that the buildings on fire in the middle of the map, they actually have a sound effect. Which you know, makes sense. Like, if they didn't have a sound effect, it would just be a silent fire, but it's also a little distracting, but not that much. Here we go. Lurkers on location. Banelings are going to try to bust through the wall, but not going to be enough quite yet. Marines are, they're maybe a little bit too far forward as the Lings and Banes get to come back and support their Lurker brethren. A little bit of a tug of war outside of Kira's third base right now.
Yeah, however, it's going to be important for Dark to not lose his Lurkers, because right now he is building up to those Vikings. Or sorry, not Vikings, but to the Vipers. And Lurkers plus Vipers are a deadly combo. However, if you lose the majority of your Lurkers, then, you know, it's not as scary to deal with. And so, yeah, Dark got to be careful to maintain his Lurker count and not just lose them, you know, here and there.
Yeah, how do you feel about the Liberators and the tanks? Because I feel like Vipers can definitely sort of neutralize them pretty easily.
Yeah, for sure. I think right now, though, like, Liberators and tanks are the best counters to the Lurkers, and so I think he's mainly investing into those because he wants to make sure he doesn't die to those Lurkers. But, you know, one of the counters to that is, of course, Vipers. So it's a little bit of a back and forth, and then ultimately it comes down to the Ghost. Can the Ghost EMP the Vipers or snipe the Vipers before they can abduct the Liberators and the tanks, that's going to be kind of a micro battle there.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Cure is making 4 ghosts at a time, so he will be able to keep up in the tech. Dark trying to get that creep spread out into the middle of the map as he's taking his, I believe, 5th and 6th bases. Yep, so it looks like both players are just sort of starting to fill out the rest of the map. That one spotter Ling does find that key base location that Cure has not taken yet, so that is definitely good information for Dark to have.
Yeah, just keeping tabs on Cure's bases count there. And potentially he might want to take it for himself later on as well. Alright, so yeah, we're kind of heading into that late game turtley Terran kind of situation. He's even making a planetary at the left side. And so yeah, actually no, he's not just making a planetary in the left side, but also in the kind of the middle there between his 3rd and 4th base.
Oh yeah, nice.
So he is just playing super turtley here. And of course, when the Terran plays this turtley, like there are a couple options where you can break them. One option is a Nidus, which Dark did go for, but it looks like Akir has tabs on that Overlord that can provide him vision to plot down the Nidus. And then the other one is to go for a mass Overlord drop kind of thingy. But I don't believe he has... Yeah, he doesn't have the Overlord drop lords or the upgrades for... Or does he have Overlord speed? I don't think so. So yeah.
Yeah, he does have Overlord speed. Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So yeah, that could be an option then later on.
Right. Oh yeah, we're definitely headed to the late game.
Oh yeah.
So we've got Neural Parasite researching. We've got all these different mech upgrades researching. 3 more ghosts at the same time. 4 is going down. Yeah, basically both players are just setting up for a pretty late game scenario. Now Dark, look at that. He is being very cheeky. He's going to take that hatchery over on the right hand side before the creep has even reached there. I like that decision a lot. It's limiting the number of bases that Cure can take. And of course, if his army is caught just a little bit out of position, it is a very powerful army, but it needs to be sieged. It needs to be prepped. So if you unsiege it, and you're not keeping aware of it, then it could fall pretty quickly to this sort of high damage lurker Ling Bane style. Now that one tank is going to force the cancel on it, so I think that Cure eventually is going to be able to take that base, but not without a small little skirmish.
Yeah, it looks like Cure should be able to secure that base. Now I gotta say, I think Dark ought to consider maybe start trading some of these Lings, because as we head into this, further into this late game, Lings don't quite scale too well. You want to start trading them out for more higher tier units.
Yeah.
Maybe add in some, I don't know, some Brood Lords, something like that.
Oh, that's one way to trade them through. Oh wow. That was an expensive trade.
Yeah, but I think he don't mind it. I mean, it frees up some supply for him to make Corruptors, and also in turn to make some Broodlords. And it looks like 4 Broodlords on the way. And so yeah, he's starting to build up to that, to that late game army composition. And
a nuke. Oh, we're gonna get nukes in this series. I'm so happy, man. I'm so happy. Okay, so Dark actually immediately pulled away, so he knows exactly where that nuke goes. Man, if it were me, I would probably pull away my drones at the very last second. One of them gets by the nuke.
Same here. I'm just always impressed how these pro players can spot these nukes, especially when they have like a million bases that they have to scan over.
It's crazy because the longer the game goes on, the more bases that you have. the harder it is to keep track of all of those different bases.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so funny. Cure is using SCVs to sort of provoke the main army of Dark and also try to start taking care of some of the spore crawlers.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting to that point where you start trading those SCVs because you got a million orbitals to drop Muse, and so SCV is not as important. You want to free up those supply for army instead. And another nuke going down. Does Dark spot it? Oh, actually he doesn't spot it. I don't think he spot. Okay, there he's spotted at the last second.
Oh wow! Just imagine if that had landed on the main army. That would have been absolutely devastating.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but there was this game between Maru and Solar, and
oh yeah, I think everybody remembers that game.
Yeah, that was
one. The look on Solar's face.
I know.
Oh, poor guy. Yeah. He was so sad.
Yeah.
Okay, first set of yoinks are going off. Another set of fungals as well. Has the nuke been interrupted? I can't tell. Okay, I think it has.
Yeah. The animation on the minimap has gone away, so nice targeting there. Does take out the nuking ghost.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Lurker is going to be segmented to the left side, as the majority of the main army is sitting here at the right side.
Oh, are we gonna get the Dark Special? He's gonna create Broodlings and yep, okay. Let's go. He's creating Broodlings and sending them forward. Or he was at least. Oh, look at that. Oh, I don't know about that, Cure. Oh, I don't know about that. He's sending the ghost a little bit too far forward. So a bunch of them are actually gonna get killed off by the Broodlords. And at this point, if I'm the Zerg player, I honestly might be okay with trading one Broodlord for one Ghost, because I can afford that kind of loss. Oh, okay, so Cure is gonna unsiege and leave this position. Lurkers are doing some damage over on the planetary in the corner base, but because of the unsiege over where these main armies are, Dark is able to move up just a little bit more.
Yeah, now it is Dark who's doing the slow push. Very reminiscent of the Terran slow push with the tanks. However, Dark, of course, is doing it with the Broodlords, with Infestors, some Vipers as well. Looks like he's replacing it, the lost supply with some more Corruptors. So he can potentially turn them into more Broodlords later on.
Yeah, and also maybe try to take care of some of the Liberators, but I agree. I think their primary purpose is going to be, reserved for extra Broodlords. Because, of course, there's no real need for anti-air against the Terran, against this kind of high-tech Terran army. You don't see a lot of Vikings, you don't see BCs or anything crazy like that. And the Liberators, you can actually unsiege them, and that's... Or you can unsiege them by yoinking them with the Vipers. Oh, look at that. A nice fungal on the front line. Oh, look at that. An Infestor is going to take care of... it's going to neural one of those ghosts, but the neural ghost is not actually going to get a lot done. Very cheeky move, though. Oh, huge fungals. Look at that. Oh, no. Okay, a bunch of Zerg spells are going off. Fungals, parasitic bombs, blinding clouds. Everything, basically.
Now, of course, one of our viewers asking, what should Kier do to win this? Well, he's has thrown down a fusion core, and I think what would be helpful is to start maybe mixing in some DCs, possibly, or I don't know. It's hard to say because a lot of times it really comes down to the execution of the spells.
Yeah, I agree. It really is a micro battle at this point. Because, from the Terran perspective, if you're able to get your snipes down, very consistently, and your Thors are not dying as quickly to the Broodlords. Which, by the way, of course, this is an absolutely ridiculous number of Broodlords. But if you get your snipes down, then you're golden. Now, as the Zerg, on the other hand, if you get a chain fungal, and just one chain can change the entire game. Now, look at that. Another nice set of fungals are going to go off. Oh my god, both players are losing a lot of stuff. I can't even tell what's happening anymore. Oh my god, Snoopy, this is wild.
Yeah. However, the thing is, if Cure can just keep trading about even or so with the Zerg, then he's gonna be able to win the game of attrition because he's got the bigger bank and he has the same amount of bases as the Zerg, which means that because the Zerg usually they want to at least be one base ahead. That's not going to be the case, and so if you can, as a Terran, if you're able to split the map in half, then that is the advantage going to the Terran player, especially when he has a bank to speak of.
Oh yeah. Oh, look at that. Immediately the orbital has been brought on site, claiming that territory for the Terran Dominion. A bunch of drones just went down as well. So, Dark is you can tell that he's a little bit uncomfortable because that is a very healthy number of Ghosts and Thors, and he's got a primarily Broodlord-based army, so it's not like he can sacrifice, it's not like he can easily trade out and transition into another tech without Cure just sort of pouncing on the opportunity. But at the same time, like, he cannot just keep on giving up ground. Look at this, he's pushed all the way back to his 4th base. 30 drones in total have gone down. That's more so because he's been trading out the drones on purpose. He wants to free up supply. That way he can grow his army. Which is a tactic that we see Terrans do much earlier because they have the mule capabilities on their orbitals. But yeah, anyways, it's not as though, Dark can instantly switch 50 supply over into lurkers or anything like that. And same goes for the Terran, so for now this is a very slow push, very methodical by Cure. And we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens, because eventually Dark is not gonna have anywhere left to go.
Yeah. At a certain point, he's gonna be trapped and cornered. Either he confronts the army or he loses all his, buildings, his production buildings, his tech buildings. Right now he just Cure was able to take out the Hydralisk, so no more Hydralisk for him. Although I think it's okay because Dark I think he stopped going for Hydralisk and Lurkers, so he's all right with that. He's mainly focused on Brood Lords and Infestors and Vipers. So as long as those buildings are intact, then he's happy.
Right. Now I just want to see. Okay, so he's making one Broodlord, and that he's making two. Few Broodlords. That's gonna bring his total number of Broodlords to above 30. 30 Broodlords, Snoopy. That is a crazy amount. Oh man, if that doesn't beat this, Thor army, I don't know how many Broodlords can beat Thor armies.
Yeah, that's insane. 31 now. Oh my goodness. 32. Make that 32.
Yeah. Look at this. The Queen Baneling run by. I love it. You're going to take care of that planetary. Pause some of that mining. Take back control with the creep tumors. Oh, actually, is Cure going to go all the way back just for the run by? No. There's no way, right? Yeah, okay, so he just wanted to take care of that creep tumor. And also, he sat his army right on top of it, just to establish dominance, just to show Dark, hey, this is my army, and you better watch out.
Yeah. Now, it would behoove Dark to actually take that 3 o'clock base there that he just killed. Yeah. There's still a little bit of minerals, there's still, some gases as well, and it's coming to a point where every single resources is important.
Oh boy, so we saw a nuke going off on the left-hand side. Vipers are going to yoink the Liberators. More Fungals are going down. Broodlords have actually trapped some of those Thors, and they need to be saved by the Medivacs because the Broodlings are just so maneuverable, whereas the Thors get trapped by them. Overall, like you said, Cure just needs to trade. And at this point, he doesn't even need to trade efficiently because he has just a huge bank in comparison to his Zerg opponent. Zerg can maybe remake his army one more time, possibly, but like that's about it. Kira can definitely remake his army multiple, maybe twice or 3 times, and so he's gonna have that advantage, that economic advantage.
Yeah, that is 100% accurate there. It's gonna be up to Dark to take a massive engagement. He cannot really afford to trade armies, evenly at this point. That is a lot of infestors, though. That's a lot of Spood Lords. Maybe he can still pull it out, though, with some nice fungo, maybe with some adupts or blinding clouds. But it looks like Kira is just gonna retreat for now.
Oh, I don't know about this retreat. It's giving Dark a little bit of free, a bit of a free engagement because he did take down that tank and some ghosts with the Broodlords coming in from the side. Very good positioning from Dark, taking advantage of the fact that Broodlords are air units, so they don't, have to be limited by where the ground is.
The thing I am kind of curious as to how Kier is going to be able to clear out the Broodlords. Like, even if he EMPs all the infestors, like that is so many Broodlords for his doors to clean out. Because some of the doors will kind of be in the backside and not be in range. And there's only a few ghosts here for snipes. It's going to take a lot to take down this many Broodlords.
Yeah, I agree. Now, maybe there's a chance if somehow the Thors magically all engage at the same time. But like you said, that's not going to be possible because of how range works, because of how stacking works, because of how air units work. So it definitely is a precarious situation. Right now, both armies can take each other down pretty quickly if microed properly, or if the other army is not microed properly. But yeah, we're getting to that point where Dark is running out of real estate. Look at this. Kier is heading up into the natural base now. I mean, when is Dark going to pull the trigger?
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe he's waiting for his infestors to be in full energy. I guess, maybe, possibly. But yeah, at a certain point, he's going to have to engage. And here we go. He's going to go ahead and throw some blinding clouds on top of a bunch of Thors. A bunch of Thors. The Thors can't get in range. The doors.
Oh no. Okay, just a huge number of broodlings are coming out now. Broodlords are starting to fall, but each volley of broodlings is huge.
Those blinding clouds are just so lethal. And Kier,
oh my gosh.
I think he might have to just retreat for now.
Yeah, I think. I mean, he definitely traded. So the Zerg is out of gas. This is probably his last army, his last time that he's going to be maxed out. But that engagement was... I've never seen anything like that before. That was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you can see how, just so dangerous these late-game spellcasters for Zergs are. Like, he's got the Fungo, he's got the Narrow Parasite, and then you mix in with those Vipers, whether it's Blinding Clouds or Ducks or, Parasitic Bombs, if... There's a lot of air units, a lot of Vikings. Luckily for Dark, there are not a lot of Vikings for him to deal with.
Okay, another set of Fungals are going down, interrupting whatever potential spells that the Ghosts can cast. Ghosts are very low energy now, and they're not going to be able to get any snipes off. I don't think they have enough for EMPs either. Spore Crawlers, with their Terran skin, they are on fire, but of course they are not going to lose health. They're still Zerg units, Zerg structures, so they will regain health over time. But what an awkward position. Look at this. All of a sudden, the Terran is the one in the middle / center bottom, of the map, and then the Zerg is segmented off to the right, away from his main. When did the game get this segmented? This is amazing.
Yeah, like you can see the space for the Zerg is closing in. There's going to be a limited amount of places where he can go. I mean, the main base of the Zerg is completely vulnerable. And right now, Dark is just kind of holding his ground here. This is pretty much... If he does not hold this, then it's pretty much over. He can't move his Spore Crawlers. any further to help with the
Yeah.
fight if he wants to go across the map, or I guess basically on the other side of the map.
Now that was a decent set of EMPs, but I believe all that they actually hit of value were queens, so I don't think they actually got a lot done. Look at that, a Thor getting saved last second by a medevac. These are literally pro gamer moves. I know that we use that term a lot in the gaming community as a joke, but that right there was an actual pro gamer move. Oh, the Thors are actually on the retreat, and this is the perfect time for the Broodlings to try to pounce on one of them. Oh, the Infestors are getting really close to those liberation zones. Dude, I can't tell. I'm very nervous for both players. This could go very badly for either of them.
Yeah, like a moment ago, I wouldn't have been as afraid for Cure because he had a bank, but look at his gas count now. It's only down to 1K.
Yeah.
He can't afford to lose a big, huge fight and replace it anymore. His bank, at least his gas bank, is kind of wiped out right now. He's down to 1K. He's still got 2.2K minerals, but I mean, you really can't do too much with minerals at this point.
Right. Look at this solid mass of Zerg units. Like, there are so many energy bars. It's like, you can't even tell if that's an Overseer,
right.
if that's a Viper, if that's a Queen, or if that's an Infestor. Just imagine how difficult both of these armies are to control.
I know.
Like, I'm sweating bullets for them, and I'm not even playing.
Yeah, I feel ya. I mean, if there was in those big engagements, you try to target fire on like a Viper or something, it was like, and then you accidentally target fire on the Overseer instead. It's like,
Yeah.
oh crap. Let me go ahead and zoom out here. And here we go. This might be potentially the last fight, but a lot of the doors are actually stuck at that cliff area, the ramp area.
Oh no, they're actually split. Broodlords are finally starting to fall. Vipers are basically out of the fight. A Blinding Cloud doesn't actually get much done, but I think it's just enough. The Thors are falling. Broodlords are still standing pretty strong. Supplies are getting pretty even though. Infestors are burrowed and they...
The Mirror Parasite! Everything! All the doors just collapses, and that... It just might be it for Dark. Dark is gonna go ahead and take this game and the series. GG's.